Throughout my life, I spent a lot of time with my uncle. When we were young, our family was in the grandparents' basement, and Jim lived upstairs with his parents. So that meant lots of playtime together. When we were young, he would take myself, my brother, and my sister to the park to play, in the creek that was in behind the house, and also we would play ball hockey in the driveway. We also grew up in the same church. As a teenager, I worked with Jim as part of his electrical company on weekends. And I remember one time we were working at a place that was a meat rendering plant. When I showed up at the door, Jim said, "If you can stomach it for a couple minutes," he says, "you'll be able to last the whole day." The smell was horrendous. And then what happened when we finally had a break for lunch, we went over to the local burger place. And when we were in the lineup to make our order, we realized that nobody wanted to stand anywhere near us. We realized that our clothes had taken on the stench of the workplace that we had been in. And nobody was standing around us because if they did, they too would get sick. It was at that point that we decided to get takeout rather than dine in. When Jim moved to Texas, I didn't get to see him much anymore. But we did have a good time the time my brother and my dad and myself came down to Texas to visit him. And we did some touring around Dallas and San Antonio. One year at Christmas, we met up in Frankenmuth, Michigan, and spent the holiday season there with Jim. And other times, Jim would come up to Canada and celebrate the Christmas holidays with us. He also would come up in the summertime, where we would go up to my uncle's up north and we would go fishing. And then other times we would go fishing in Lake Ontario when he stayed with us and spend whole days out there catching trout. I'm gonna miss those times, but I'm always gonna have the good memories we had of those times together over the summer.
Because we were born only 5 years apart, Uncle Jim was more like an older brother to me, constantly watching over me and influencing me throughout my life. My first few years of public school, he walked me there every day. He taught me to play several sports, and I tagged along to watch his baseball, lacrosse, and hockey games. As a teen, I was fortunate to play alongside Jim on our church hockey team. And whenever an opposing player got overly rough with me, he was always the first one to step in and protect me as we battled our way to a championship together. During the last few months, I have faced a much bigger battle when I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, had a major surgery, and started intensive chemotherapy treatments. As always, Jim was there for me, this time as a prayer warrior. He shared my name and my situation with the Sunnyvale Baptist prayer chain and assured me that a great number of Texans were praying for me, mentioning his men's group, Sunday school class, the deacons, Espanol de Sunnyvale, and many more individuals. I deeply appreciate all of you. I've felt the power of your prayers, and I'm overwhelmed by your kindness and concern. Still, I'm really going to feel the absence of my Uncle Jim in this battle, especially his prayers and encouragement. Nevertheless, I am consoled and confident that when I'm called home to see my Savior in heaven, I will be meeting up with my Uncle Jim once again.
Hello, I'm Lloyd, Jim's older brother, or Big Brother as he used to refer to me. In the family, there were 3 brothers, myself, Bob, Jim, and a sister, Donna. As I remember, she had a challenge dealing with her 3 brothers. We were all brought up in a Christian home and gave ourselves to the Lord early in our lives. Now, when Jim fell in love with Texas and decided to live and conduct business there, I wondered about his decision as he would be far away from us and all alone. We connected on a weekly basis, and then he told me he had found a church and it was something special and his life was changing. He excitingly told us of all he was doing at the church, from directing traffic in the parking lot, serving communion, becoming a deacon, teaching a class. It seemed he could never say no. And I thought he should take it easy. But Jim was becoming solid in his spiritual life, and Sunnyvale First Baptist Church became his family away from home. Jim sent me a message on my 90th birthday indicating how I influenced his life. It was very moving. Jim went through a lot in his life, but it ended well with the love and care you folks at Sunnyvale brought into his life. I will be ever grateful to your church and for Jim finishing his journey there and is now in eternity with the God and Savior he loved. My heartfelt gratitude to you all. God richly bless you.